Gyro's not sure-handed with this ball, but he is coming from the backboard. Demolition, though, from Arsenal. Daniel can score from here and does! Welcome to the RLCS!
What a shot for Daniel Reddles. That's a great challenge. Not trying to do too much, just pops it off, and the timing on the approach. I mean, Tarok
trying to get around Calm so he can play D, and boy, beast mode shot. Looked like it was an open net for the most part, and now look at Daniel do it again! This rookie is absolutely unreal.
Take the hats off, throw them on the field.
FaZe Clan having the lead.
Even reached the minimum age of 15 years old to compete in RLCS. People knew what was to become of Daniel. Like, whether it was him defeating pros in ranked matches or becoming a 1v1 show match superstar, shout out to Fear for showcasing plenty of Daniel's come up. He was bound to be the elite player that he has become in RLCS. Namely, Dan's offensive threats in the form of automatic flip resets and double taps would become this player's MO of beating any defender that he wanted to. That was the thing about his gameplay that attracted a lot of fans, and that's exactly what they were dying to see at the professional level when he did join SPACESTATION Gaming, and boy did they ever.
So Daniel, for me, is actually a really interesting player to talk about because I've seen Daniel well before anybody really knew who Daniel was. Now, okay, it's a little bit exaggeratory for me to say that nobody knew who he was, but before Daniel was the RLCS just absolute mainstay that he is now, Daniel was the guy who just won every single semi-pro and bubble tournament in Rocket League ever. He came up around the same time that I did, so it was mid-2020, 2021, when all of a sudden you just saw this little kid who barely anybody knew about. Unless you were in like the 1 seed, you didn't really know who Daniel was. But if you did know who Daniel was, holy cow, you knew he was something special. He was taking every single little tournament here or there. It was basically him, Evo, and a couple other people who basically would hop into these tournaments, farm them up, and it was only because they were too young to play into RLCS. So it was kind of crazy because back then, people were already comparing him to the top Rocket League players on the planet. He had never even been able to touch RLCS or touch a big competition. He was taking Astro Star circuits, the I forget what the 5Ks that they had that was going on. Game Time, the Game Time 5Ks was the thing I was working on, and I got to witness this dude as he was playing in 3 tournaments at once and literally almost won all of them. He actually won at least one of them, and it was just a different beast. Daniel was something else, man. His skills were just incredible. His mechanics were insane. His speed was different, and although the kid had a tinge of toxicity back in the day, soon as he got whipped into shape and, you know, people were ready for him to turn into an RLCS pro, he hit the ground running.
Batira continuing to get involved on both ends of the field. If you had an early candidate for season MVP around the world, he'd be at the top of the list. Daniel got the shot to go! Unreal!
Daniel woke up.
Oh my goodness!
That power, that read. He's the only one who can do it. Top right slot from Daniel. There's 8 goals this game.
With the high expectations that came with Daniel's entry to RLCS, somehow he managed to exceed those expectations when he joined SPACESTATION Gaming midway through RLCS 2021-22 in the winter split. Even his first game and how he performed would become instrumental and really show the impact that Daniel had on that team. I describe him as both explosive and clutch. There's this first game against Rogue where SPACESTATION are like, okay, here comes Daniel. Everyone's kind of, their eyes are on this player to see what he's capable of. 0-0, 21 seconds left. Daniel just goes hero mode, bats the ball off the backboard, gets an unreal touch for the double tap, lands the first goal, the winning goal. Many more moments just in that event alone. Daniel had 0-second goals, perfect flip reset passes. Everyone knew for sure at that moment that the moment Daniel touched the pitch in RLCS that he was bound to be an elite player.
Provide your opinion on his success at SSG. I think he was everything for SSG. He was the lifeblood of a team that had looked good in times past, but I think a lot of people were wondering what was going to take them to that next level. Reynolds was an RLCS veteran. Arsenal was an RLCS up-and-comer. And at that point, people were kind of wondering, you know, what's it going to take to get this team to the next level? When they sign a young SSG prodigy like Daniel, people had never really heard of, everybody knew. Very similar to what Zen was now, Daniel was back then. And Daniel truly did live up to the hype, in my opinion. The team performed really well with him on the roster. He was one of the best players out there, and their performances on LAN to be able to do really well in LA, although it wasn't, you know, the mountaintop beating G2 and Moist Esports back then, Queso, they were still a very good team. People knew that Daniel was going to be something special back then. And lo and behold, you've seen them at the World Championship the next year, or, well, same year, but, you know, following up. And they looked great. They looked awesome.
Shift reports that version 1 is in potential talks to acquire Daniel. If you see
that Daniel is now set to sign
V1 in talks.
Version 1 is in talks with SSG to sign Daniel ahead of this.
Do we think it's 100% gonna happen? It's true. Let's go.
Daniel got the shot to go! Unreal! Daniel got another to go! Are you kidding me?
Look at him go! You can't give Daniel that space!
Oh my God! Daniel with this Gimme James saved! Oh, that's a hat trick as well! That is a top play. My gosh! Daniel!
So as Daniel departs SSG, where does he go? But version 1. Listen, you got to remember, this was a org that was already looking for a change. Last split, they almost plugged in Rise, EU superstar in for Calm. They were looking to shake things up. That deal fell through, but it doesn't mean they're not still looking for an upgrade. That's exactly what they get with Daniel. And yeah, you're taking Torment out of the equation right now. This is an existing RLCS veteran, has that world champ badge to his honor, but when you plug in Daniel, it's gonna be for the best. Listen, this is a completely unbiased perspective. I'm just spitballing here, but I think version 1 fans have a lot to look forward to with this edition of Daniel. He's got existing chemistry with Beast Mode and the 2v2 scene. Everyone's seen that. You still have Calm to play a more disruptive role. He may need to take a little bit less boost so that Beast Mode and Daniel can do their thing. But this is a roster that I believe absolutely puts version 1 back in a top 5 spot. They did not perform that way in the winter split. Even when they made a major in the fall split, this puts them right back in that conversation. And absolutely, they make this next major in spring and Worlds with the addition of Daniel.
And I think Daniel joined version 1 because he saw that there was potential. Beast Mode had been a friend of his. He had won 2 tournaments with Beast Mode. He'd done well with Beast Mode in the past. But he wanted to turn that from doing well with somebody into being the best. I think he truly did want to be the best out there. And now with him, Calm, and Beast Mode being on a singular team, I actually think that they might be the best team in North America. Time will tell, but the reason he joined is because Daniel wants the mountaintop. He's not okay with just summoning. He wants to be the very best on the planet, and he knows he can be. The current state of version 1 Rocket League is honestly a good space. I think that version 1 is very dedicated to Rocket League, very dedicated to esports in general, and I think that team is going to do whatever it takes to succeed. They've had a crazy fan base. They've had a crazy dedication to Rocket League for oh so long. We saw this last year with the team putting into so much effort just to go to the World Championship. And now we see these guys doing it all over again by picking up arguably the best prodigy in North America while they've got the time. I had heard rumors about this type of stuff, but I didn't think it would actually go through. And in my opinion, my predictions for the rest of the season, I think version 1's winning it all. I would be very surprised if this team doesn't finish at least top 3 at the next major. But again, we say that about a lot of different people. And then Gen G goes out top 8. So you never really know at a certain point. Teams are going to be volatile. Rosters going to be volatile. It could be something crazy. But I have very high expectations for version 1 coming up.
I definitely think there's a lot at stake, honestly.
The best way to explain it, just win.
Yeah, he's up.
Yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
Your first
I got.
And version 1 in game 5 closes it out.
Oh man, it's been tough for sure.
That reaction's why we do it, chat. We have the ability to basically control our own destiny. As long as we continue to win, give ourselves a chance.
If we didn't make the major, we all knew that, you know, there was a change that needed to be made.
Forecasting the future of Daniel is not something that's very easy to do. Some rookies hit their stride and get that world champ badge under their belt right away. Others are still looking to hoist that trophy. You look at players like First Killer, supposed to be one of the greatest of all time, but you can't be called that unless you get to pull the #1 spot. So, does Daniel have that potential on version 1? I would say I would liken his release from SSG to version 1 as like a bird being let out of a cage. Okay, he's been only under Space Station for the first year of his RLCS career. There is so much more still to be had. And yes, there's big potential with version 1. Don't get me wrong. This is a great org that has a lot of backing. And being able to play with Beast Mode is going to feel like the Rocket League pitch is Daniel's playground. But this is finally Daniel getting to experience new orgs, new teammates, new everything under version 1. And I think that's important for the growth of a pro's career, is to have that flexibility. And now I can try to prove that on version 1.
I see him continuing to go down as one of the GOATs. There's a lot of people who are in Rocket League right now that I think people are ready to sort of give the crown to. Will First Killer is one of those guys. Vatira is one of those guys. Apparently Jack is one of those guys. And I think Daniel's name kind of fell out of contention for a little while because while he was good on SSG, he wasn't ever, not him, I guess, but the team was never necessarily great. They were never summiting. They never could get into that point where they were winning regionals or winning majors on a consistent basis. Heck, they've never even won a major. So I think people kind of forgot about Daniel being as hype as he was, but give him some time. Watch what happens when him and Beast Mode are on the same team. I expect this guy to really cement his legacy and go down as one of the greats. Does he win a world championship? I think maybe, but I think he'll at least win a major and a couple more regionals and be able to really solidify his name as one of the best out there. And I think, honestly, at this point, that's kind of what Daniel's looking for. He wants to look like the best version of himself. He wants to reach his full potential. And if he can reach that full potential, the sky's the limit for this kid. Who knows how far he's going to be able to fly.